So I am going to be speaking on the advocate's main claim that looking at graphic sex can increase the likelihood of male sexual violence. Her supporting points that she used were that with the constant exposure to sexually explicit material, males tend to fall subject to observational social learning theory. Second, that pornography acts like an addictive drug to the user. And third, that the exposure to graphic sex normalizes violent sexual behavior. I'm going to be arguing that for mainly one of her points, she did not provide adequate evidence to prove that males tend to fall, that looking at graphic sex can increase the likelihood of male sexual violence. So to start, for supporting one of her claims, she stated that if females are exposed to an aggressive form of graphic sex, they will allow their partner to proceed with such actions and believe it is okay. The support behind this simply states that some women found certain sexual acts to be uncomfortable, more uncomfortable than they thought. That's the closest that she comes to explaining any harm that is done. She never actually explained if after these acts they continued or felt obligated to continue doing them. She does not explain how their male partners influence this behavior. She also did not mention how many of these women participated in the acts due to male sexual aggression rather than their own willingness or interest. She also states that both young men and women reported trying sexual acts and positions that they had first seen in pornography. These examples don't show any harm being done. It simply shows that there was a misunderstanding that people had of some certain sexual acts. And while this does prove that perhaps the media may be deceiving when showing certain things such as this, it does not prove that graphic pornography increases male sexual violence. There is no information on pre-existing sexual fantasies or aggression that males may have had before watching porn. Those may have shown that porn may be a symptom of sexual aggression instead of a cause. This argument is insinuating that trying things seen in pornography is a symptom of male sexual violence rather than perhaps couples trying, I'm sorry, I hate this topic, but just trying something new. This is an unsupported conclusion as all these examples that are given don't involve any consequences that resulted from male sexual violence. Thank you.
Okay, well, you set up the advocate's claims pretty clearly. I think that you don't really go into the specific individual points. You've got some more generic arguments about the way the information is being put together. You've got a lot of good presses. This is the kind of speech. Where are you? I know you're out there somewhere. There you are. This is the kind of what you could have done right now. You could have done this right immediately after their presentation. It's one of those things where I listen to what somebody said. I can stand up and explain what the problems with it are immediately. A little quick analysis, and you did a good job at that. I think you need a little bit more, though, to be confident in the refutation that you've got going on here. You did find good presses. For instance, the fact that somebody tries a sexual activity that they don't find particularly pleasant or comfortable, is that in fact a harm? And does the advocate show that it's a long-term, consistent issue that goes on? They don't do that. So there's a problem with the lack of evidence that the advocate's providing in this particular situation to arrive at their conclusion. That's a pretty reasonable press to make. You can make that, like I said, almost immediately after the argument was presented. You know, the notion that there isn't any number on how many people are affected by this or any link to male sexual aggression. This is where maybe a little bit of research would be useful. Pornography has become more and more widely available, like the advocate is talking about. Have we had an increase in sex crimes? Have we had an increase in difficulties between relations between men and women? Have there been less satisfying long-term relationships? Any information that you would have that you could find that suggests that there hasn't been a significant change would undermine the inference that they're making. And I think that you miss an opportunity to build a strong case against the claim, as well as just kind of poo-pooing the claim. And perhaps poo-pooing is the wrong term to use, since, I know what, like you thought, some of that was a little bit unpleasant to discuss. I appreciate that. All right, and it's the same sort of argument that says I like the one that you had at the end that suggests that it's really a symptom, not a cause that's going on. We talked about that right the other day, which is the cause and which is the effect, and you're in essence saying, this might be a symptom of their aggression rather than the cause of their aggression. It's simply reflecting the kind of people that they actually are, as opposed to turning them into the kind of people that they think we are, or that we think they are. And again, that's a good press. I don't know that there's any information to support it. So you found good challenges on the reasoning. I just think that you need to don't put all your eggs in the basket that's going to be enough to convince people.